Okay, so we're gonna do the top and the bottom. Now this is where the hardest part of our joinery is going to be, and I'll explain why in a second. But this is where you're going to have the most struggle. At least I did, or I did on the original one. First thing we need to do though is I'm going to put these in the vise on edge, and again we're going to be working from the back. So the reference edges will be our back surfaces. So I'm going to put these in the vise. And these are really, really good, closely matched for distance. But I want to make sure that I square up one edge so that everything is off of one side. It doesn't matter which side it is. By the way, if I pull these apart, these are the outsides. This is the very top and this is the very bottom. So the inside is where all the joinery is going to go. Okay. I've been very remiss about what I'm kind of describing what we're going to use. So I'm sorry. This is my first project video actually, or series. So in this with this project, this video today, we're going to need a 1/4" chisel, the router plane, marking gauge, and hammer, some kind of mallet for the chisel, and your square. I should tell you that before we start. I apologize. So anyways, I'm marking off of this edge. It doesn't matter which, and actually in this case it's as good as I couldn't do better. So I have 15 1/4, so I'm going to find the middle. Where's my marking knife? Always have a marking knife. Your marking knife is always needed. So I didn't mean to not say that, but so 15 1/4, so that's 7.5 plus 1/8, so 7 5/8. Double check that's right I have. Yep. So that's the middle. I just put a small tick because we're not actually going to do anything with that for joint. There's no joinery going to be there, so I don't want to make a big mark, but just a mark so I know where the middle is. And then what I need to do is I need to figure out how wide to make this. So the inside of this is 13. So I'm going to go 6.5 from either side. So I'm going to find that mark. Make a mark there. And make a mark there. I'm just going to double check that is same distance from the end, 1 1/8, and 1 1/8. Okay, so what that mark is, I'm going to mark this in pencil because it's going to come off. We're not going to actually use it until we actually get there. But what that mark is that's going to be the inside edge of our board. So I'm just going to make a pencil mark for right now on the outside, if you can, on the inside too if you want. And these are just rough edges. So we're going to do everything with a square and everything later, but I just want to kind of know roughly what we're going to do. So I've got 2 pencil lines there. And so that's the back layout. And the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take I want to figure out where do I want. Okay, I'm going to write outside. And the outside. Just so I keep track. So I'm going to make a groove. We're going to cut a groove from inside to inside. Before I do that, I'm going to mark out the distance in. So now we have to decide if we want, which side we want these to be. So that's the back. This is the back. So I'm going to put this in the back. It doesn't matter which board you take. Just figure out what kind of. All right. I think that looks better. It's personal preference. It doesn't matter what you decide, but I think that one looks better. So I'm just going to lay this on, flush it up, and I'm going to try to figure out, I just want to take about, I don't know, ½ inch from the back. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to make a little mark there, and I'm going to just see how far what that is. Or another way to do this, probably an easier way to do this. This is about 3 7/8. 2 7/8, sorry. So I'm going to back this up. I don't know, about ½ inch. So that's 2 3/8, roughly. The end's going to be covered up, so it doesn't matter too much. I'm going to take this with a pencil, not a knife. And I'm just going to make a line right there. That's where we're going to end stop there. And that's where we're going to stop. So now I have just 2 lines marked on either side. I'm going to fill that in later once I actually draw these other lines. But all right, so now we go back to the knife because this is our actual cut. So this is the inside. I'm going to mark on here my right and left side. I'm going to draw an arrow down to the top. It's kind of backwards because I'm actually working on the top upside down, but just so I can tell later on. The farther along you get into this, the less you're going to have a problem. So now I'm going to take this, put my knife in the line, put it up to the line, another set of hands would be very useful sometimes. Okay, draw a line. It's just a pencil line. This is just so you make sure you don't go over it with a chisel when you're starting. Alright, so this is what I have so far. I'm going to move you over so you can see better, hopefully. Alright, so switch back and forth between your knife and your... Find that mark. We're all line up. And we're stopping at that pencil line. And then take the board. Mess that up. Okay. It doesn't matter, I guess, but so now we have the two lines. Now is the tricky. This is what I'm also going to do is I'm going to run these just right now so that I don't forget about them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna chop out, do a dado here, and chop out that groove, and we have to chop that out by hand because it's a stopped groove. When I get there, I'll explain that. So I'm gonna do one of these. On camera so you can see. If you want to be really safe, you can come back through with your marking knife. And just go a little deeper. Getting ahead of myself. On the bottom here, this is set to the same depth as the groove, the depth of my router. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to mark down across the end. The depth. But anyways, chiseling on camera. It's kind of nervous. There's a lot of ways you can make mistakes, but I just tapped it lightly. By the way, the reason I went to on the inside and marked that is that's the more critical dimension. Well, the outside isn't, it's just going to be the thickness of the board from the outside. The inside is what we'll need. So I'm going back, making sure I stay away from that pencil line that I drew before. Now after I chop this out this little bit, by the way, I went to a 1/2 inch or 1 inch chisel. Now we have to make sure we put this in the right direction, because this is going to be, now they're going to be married together forever. So I'm going to take this board and I'm registering it into that groove. Now I'll take my knife, so that's right now, that's registered right up tight against that edge of that line. I'm going to take my knife and I'm trying to scratch underneath the board. So I don't want, I'm trying to, like, I'm reaching underneath. And don't do what I just did. That should be fine, you shouldn't see it, but I went past that pencil line, which I should not have done. Now, I like to take off both sides at the same time. So, nice and gentle. So all you have is that little pencil line. So I'm rocking it back and forth. So I stop before, just as soon as I start seeing that pencil line, or that knife line come up, I'll stop. Because I've done this, I don't know how many times. I'm pushing and I shoot across the edge, especially, and mess it up. So I'm just going to take it nice and gentle. Too much of a bite, just a slight bite. Just peel up those fibers. Just until it breaks, and you'll see it if you watch your line. And there. And now we're right to that line. You want to be careful because any gap that you should do, you see, will show. And I don't really want, I'm not going to go back to the square because it may change. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap, just nice and light. Once I register that in that line, make sure it's pressed up against the bottom and perpendicular, just a tap. I may not be the fastest at this, and I know I'm not, but I just want to make sure that I do a good job. Especially since one of you guys are going to get this. Remember, commenting on a video gets you registered, so not you. I'm just going to have you register once per video, but if you want, each time you put a comment in a video, one per video, I'll put you in a drawing for winning this. And so far, I haven't had any comments on my other videos, so you may have pretty good odds of winning this. This channel's brand new. If you even want it. If you don't want it, well, don't say so. You don't say you don't want it. And I'll not worry about it. I'll take. I'm going to make sure I take off that crown because I'm going to check it with the board so that there's a nice space all the way around. And I'm also not pushing down on this edge. I don't want to bruise this edge. Okay, so okay. It's in the top, that part, and that part. Nice. So, I just keep going until we get to depth. Okay, so I cut down all the way through, all to the bottom. Here's my line. Right. So it's basically to the bottom. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 1/4-inch chisel and pare back. Watch out for the back that you don't just score up the front. So I'm staying away from my line. I'm just taking away some of the bulb. Now I'm going to try my chisel, my router in here. And this will be a tight fit because that's what we made the boards to the thickness of the router. I'm going to go a little bit deeper with my chisel right on the edge here. So it's a little too tight. How's the back look? Leave that back, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to make this There. That's a better fit. Hopefully. There. So, fits in there real nice now. Hopefully there's no gap. Not much you can do about it now, but looks pretty good. There, now the router blade fits in there better. Okay, so now we're to the end and it's flat all the way across. So I'm just going to tease out these end fibers coming right up to that line. Sure all the corners are nice and clean. Okay, so I'm to do that on 4 more sides. So I'm going to do that and I'll come back to you guys and we will probably in next video we'll cut this groove. And this is a pain. Again, I really wish this would come with a 1/4 inch groove bit. But anyways, it is what it is. Next time, so thank you guys for coming and visiting me today. I've not been saying this, I need to get used to doing this. Please subscribe to my the videos. I appreciate everybody who does. And thank you for coming along, and we will see you next time. And have a good day. Bye. Okay, so I have I was cutting these out for the top bottom, and I have a crack that I just found. So I'm gonna need to fix that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mix in some epoxy. It's just 5-minute epoxy. I just have a piece of scrap cardboard. Mix it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to widen this up just a touch. See if I can get a little wedge in there. So I widened it. You see where that cracks, they just develop. And I didn't want to go any farther because I didn't want to break it off. So I'm going to try to epoxy it. Super glue might work better, but I don't have any that's liquid. No, that I can use. So I'm going to let that set. That should be enough, I think. But we're just going to let that set off the side a little bit, and then we'll come back. And again, tomorrow I'll finish these up, or later on I'll finish these up, and we'll call it good.